Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I have been warning my close friends that this day was coming, and alas, that day is nigh. Hopefully, you've had time to stock up on food and beer and buy gold, whatever you needed. This is my first video into my journey back into guitar and music, and a sure sign of Armageddon. One of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, maybe a pestilence. Now in the future when I do these, I'm just going to do a quick 5 or 10 second introduction into the song, and then right into the song, and then I will do post notes. And in that, I will talk about my journey. It will deal with a whole bunch of things, technical issues, my learning, why I chose the song, probably a bit about the artist and the song, and whatever else I want to talk about. But in this case, I needed to introduce myself, so I am going to introduce myself now. My name is Troy Bhaer. From now on, I will remember my own name, but I actually considered buying the URL Bear because TroyBear.com because, well, the obvious. If you hear my name and you try to find me at TroyBear.com, good luck. Anyhow, I stuck with my real name, and at the moment, if you go to my website, there's not much there, but I will be adding stuff very soon. I just got the URL a little bit ago. So more about me. I started playing guitar when I was 15 years old. By the time I was in my mid-20s, I was playing somewhat professionally. And my intention was to actually go out and be a professional musician. But things kind of fell apart. I'll talk more about that later on in the video. And I put down the guitar for 19 years. And I mean, I literally didn't play for 19 years. And about 2.5 years ago, on a kind of frustrating day, I decided I wanted that creative outlet, that venting vehicle. And so I decided to pick it back up again. And within a couple of weeks, I was fully addicted again, and that brings me here. So that is probably enough about me to start with. I'll talk a little bit more in the end about me. But about the song is Every Night. It was a McCartney song off of his very first album after breaking up with the Beatles. It was not a critically acclaimed album, and the song wasn't a hit. I'll talk more about that as well in the post, but I liked the song, and that's really the only reason I chose it. I thought it was an interesting way to start this all off. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the song, and then I will talk more about the details. Thanks. Every night I just wanna go out, get out of my head. Every day I don't wanna get out of my bed. Every night I want to play out. Every day I wanna do But tonight I just want to stay and be with you. And be with you. Every day I lean on a lamppost, I'm wasting my time. Every night I lay on a pillow, I'm resting my mind. Every morning brings a new day, every night that day is through. But tonight I just won't stay and be with you. And be with you. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully it was okay. Um, it was just meant to be okay. It's going to get better as I'm going along. I'm having tons of, this is quite a learning curve with a lot of this. And because of that, I'm going to talk first about some of the technical issues involved here for me. So I'm just going to kind of go through the history of that. My intention was that I was going to start putting these out at the beginning of July, and my first technical issue was my guitar itself. I wanted to use an Ovation that I have, and I had recently put in a new pickup system in there, which was LR Bags. It's a 2 pickup system with a piezo and a mic, and it's a great pickup. But there was an issue with it, and I had to send it back because I was getting these big loud pops. It almost sounded like gunfire as I was playing, and I am using both a microphone and DI, as it's called, direct input, to record the guitar. So it was ruining it, and so I sent it off. That whole process took 3 weeks. Then we had a vacation that we had planned, so that took me another week and a half or so. And then when I got back, I was having sound quality issues. I thought it was microphones. It turned out, actually, I did replace a couple of microphones, but it turned out it was my mixer slash interface, and that goes directly into your computer via USB and into your DAW, which is a digital audio workstation. And so that was a problem. I needed to replace that, and the sound quality was so much better at that point. But I needed to learn how to use that, and then also I'm learning how to use the DAW, which I thought might be more intuitive since I already had a little bit of a background as a hobby video person, but no, not at all. Anyhow, lots and lots of technical crap, and so I'm learning all of that as I go along, and I'll be doing most of the work myself. So, and that is kind of the point. So enough about that. Let me talk a little bit about me, and then I'll talk about the song. So I was born in Connecticut. I lived most of my life in central Maine, Bangor area, actually in a small town called Hamden, most of that time. Shout out to all of my friends and family who still live back in Maine. Thank you. And those who moved on like I did. So I moved to Tahoe, California in 1993. I was a semi professional guitar player at that point. I was getting reasonably good. I was playing 4 to 8 hours a day. And then we had a band. I was doing a lot of writing. And then the band broke up. And I realized at that point that trying to form a new band and find the right people in a little place like Tahoe was really challenging. And it occurred to me at that point that I really needed to move to the city if I was going to pursue being a musician. I needed to move to Nashville or LA or Seattle. And I hate living in the city. I've done that. I like going to the city, and then I like to leave the city. That's just me. Anyway, that resulted in me deciding to get a day job. That was in as a apprentice plumber, which had me working a lot of big, heavy equipment, drilling huge holes and crawling around under houses and up on ladders and up in rafters and on roofs and digging holes. And I was sore all the time. And I had to buy all kinds of equipment, thousands of dollars worth of stuff, including a new truck. And so that meant I had to keep my night job, which was waiting on tables, which then required me between shifts to scrape off a layer of ABS glue and grease and gunk under my fingernails because those pretentious diners don't want to see dirty people handing them their food. Anyway, at the end of all of that, I finally found myself just exhausted and unable to play more than a couple hours a week, and that it resulted in me having this decline that was so fast that it was really almost shocking how quickly I was losing everything that I had spent the last decade and a half learning. And that was very frustrating and painful. So the result of that was me putting it down because I wasn't having fun anymore. And I put it down for 19 years. And I literally didn't pick up the guitar other than to dust it off. I didn't play at all. But about 2.5 years ago, I was having a frustrating week and I was just kind of in a pissy mood and thought, I used to love playing guitar. It kind of was a vent. It was, fun to just have that creative outlet. And I began to miss it. And I thought, maybe I should pick it back up as a hobby. And then within 2 weeks, I was fully addicted. So that brings me, of course, to here and now. So now a bit more about the song Every Night. So it was, as I said, off of McCartney's first album. It wasn't a very critically acclaimed album. It was just called McCartney, and I always called a bowl of cherries, which really isn't accurate when you think about it. It was actually a bowl of cherry juice with a bunch of maraschino cherries on this table of sorts. I don't know. I had a big white stripe down the middle of it. But that would have really been a long title, so I just called it bowl of cherries. Anyhow, I liked it. And I liked it for the very reason that most critics didn't like it. Most of them were expecting another highly produced Beatles type album. And this was more of McCartney's garage band version of himself. And I liked that. To me, it was more personal. And the songs themselves, the material he had chosen for it was a bit more personal, more kind of down to earth, and rustic and rough around the edges. But it felt like he was inviting us, kind of, in his home to just listen as he noodled around with stuff, and maybe Linda was making tea and crumpets in the background in the kitchen with the kids at the table. Actually, I'm not sure if they were kids at that point. It was This came out in April, I think April of 1970. So they probably just had one and maybe one on the way, but I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. Anyhow, I always liked that, and I always liked that particular song. Amy liked it as well, so I thought, that'd be an interesting way to start this whole journey off, just because it's a bit sentimental, and I'm really glad to be able to do this because it's fun, as challenging as it is. It's in the end, it's a lot of fun. So in the future, I'm going to talk more about some certain specific issues, and I'll be putting more songs out, and probably I will have another one out before a week is up. So please be watching for those. For the time being, I'm going to be posting them up on social media. I will try to let you know which social medias I'm out on. And thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.